Hari Bol. Okay. Anyone? The wife sings. The wife want to sing.
I think you can sing.
Anyone else? Gopika? Gopi want to sing? Bro, Gopi? Hare Krishna. Thank you so much for everyone coming. We are just waiting for a few minutes. We'll do Kirtan for 10 minutes and Maharaj is on the way. So he'll be coming in 10 minutes. Please feel free if you like to take some water. There's a buttermilk and it's a hot day. So whatever makes you comfortable, please make yourself comfortable. Where is that? Sri Krishna. Someone. Okay, I'll learn this. Anyone? Hare Krishna. No? Okay. Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shri Vasadi Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shri Vasadi Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shri Vasadi Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shri Vasadi Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shri Vasadi Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shri Vasadi Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, तो इसको पीछे रख देना, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Jaya Radha Madan Mohan Radha Madan Mohan Radhe Jaya Radha Madan Mohan Radha Madan Mohan Jaya Prabhupada 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 Nitai Gaura Hari Bol Hari Bol Hari Bol Nitai Gaura Hari Bol Nitai Nitai Gaura Premanande Hari Hari Bol.
Hare Krishna. Thank you all for coming to this program. I have been asked by Mukharavindra Prabhu to speak a little bit about our esteemed speaker today evening, His Holiness Rompad Swami Maharaj. Rompad Maharaj, and yes, a little more, a little. Thank you. Maharaj was born on December 27th, 1948 in... Isn't that your date? It's not the script, Maharaj. I'm just trying to remember. All right, so I'll make it quick then. Thank you. All right, Maharaj met Srila Prabhupada in New York, State University of New York in Buffalo in 1969, got initiated in July 1971, took sannyas in 1983, and ever since he has been traveling throughout the world, spreading Krishna consciousness both in the terms of an eclectic philosopher and a preacher of Siddhanta and Krishna Katha, as well as a manager of being the governing body commissioner for ISKCON for many, many years. So Maharaj has that unique perspective of both management and Krishna Katha at the same time. So it's our great honor and pleasure to welcome His Holiness Rumpad Maharaj. Thank you, Maharaj, for coming. Hare Krishna.
How'd you get the date of birth? How'd you get the date of birth?
It's there in Wikipedia.
Oh. Oh, okay. You all know each other, right? No. Do you all know each other? Yes or no? Some of us. How many people would say they're in the category of, I'm in the newer category of visitors to the temple? Okay, a few. Oh, come on. Okay. That helps to understand where to launch. So you know what the topic is? I know what the topic is. Understanding how to live one's life guided by Srimad Bhagavatam. Understanding life through Srimad Bhagavatam. That's the topic. Well, this is ISKCON Silicon Valley, and you probably, without exception, you have Srimad Bhagavatam in your home. Is there anybody here that doesn't have Srimad Bhagavatam in their home? Okay. Jump on these few people. Because Srimad Bhagavatam is such an important literature. But I think before going to that part of the topic, I'd like to speak something about the rest of the topic. Understanding how to live one's life, or understanding how to live life, guided by Srimad Bhagavatam. So what's understanding? And what's life? Those are good questions. And, you know, material or spiritual, it doesn't say, just the topic is. Just 2 days ago, I was with my 84-year-old sister. She's a little older than me, and her body is falling apart, literally, like literally falling apart. Yet her spirit and her, you know, her mind is very sharp. And many, many topics, but one of the topics was this. I asked it in a different way. What's next? And she said, I'd like to talk about that. I'm sure because you've lived your life the way that you've lived your life, you probably have something to say about that. So we had a little discussion. Her body is such that she can't hold a book. By profession, training, and you know her nature, she's an artist. She can't hold a paintbrush. She loves playing tennis. She can't hold a tennis racket. Her body is, she can't stand straight. Her body's at a tilt. I mean, but you know, she has an innate understanding, so I'm assuming we all do, as she does, innate understanding that there's, besides the body, there's something inside. That's who we really are. And we didn't quite get into you're not the mind, and you're not the intelligence, you're not the covering. Those are subtle coverings, and that's not who we are. The innate self that's within. That's as far as she's gotten by introspection and whatever else she has come in contact with. So the word understanding there's theoretical, Prabhupada's language, jnana and vijnana. There's theoretical and there's practical. Understanding. And theoretical kind of goes all over the place. There's, different concepts and different ideologies that go along with those concepts and ways of life. In Bhagavad Gita, chapter 13, text number 5, Prabhupada discusses, he quotes Baladev Vijayabhusan, because his commentary on Bhagavad Gita was dedicated to Baladev Vijayabhusan. And Baladev Vijayabhusan was a Shiksha disciple of Vishwanath Chakrabarti Thakur. And he, Baladev, quotes not Bhagavad Gita, Prabhupada's Bhagavad Gita, because that came after him, but he quotes what's in the Taittiriya Upanishad. This is the theoretical, and then the different concepts. In Taittiriya Upanishad, it describes that there are 5 stages of spiritual realization, starting with Annamaya, food, Pranamaya, Jnanamaya, Vijnanamaya, Anandamaya. 5. Taittiriya Upanishad. A little bit, and then more elaborately, in Vishwanath Chakrabarti Thakur's writings, he parallels the Upanishads, this Taittiriya Upanishad specifically, and Rupa Goswami's writings. And it's a one-to-one match. Meaning that the teachings of Rupa Goswami are the teachings of Lord Chaitanya, and the teachings of Lord Chaitanya are the teachings of Srimad Bhagavatam, and the teachings of Lord Chaitanya and Srimad Bhagavatam are rooted in the Vedas, or it's the mature, ripened fruit of all the Vedic tree. Nigama kalpatora gaditam palam midam. Nigama. So, the first 3, the reason I'm going into this is just the word understanding. What does understanding mean, anyways? So, there's understanding of Brahman, but the first 3 of those 5, Brahma Pucha Pratishta, is the phrase from Taittiriya. It's very simple. Annamaya, Pranamaya, Jnanamaya. It's on the physical platform. It's on the material platform. Understanding on the material platform. You'll start with Annamaya. What's Annamaya? Food. Anna. What does a baby do? That's just human babies. All living entities, when they're first born, what do? Food. And then, if there's a shoe that goes in the mouth, oral fixation, that's how the modern terminology describes it. But it's Annamaya. I want to experience Brahman. That's how I experience Brahman, to survive with food. And they're making a distinction between the body and the attributes of the body, pranamaya, mind, intelligence. So the first three, just keeping it simple without all the detail, they're on the material platform, and that's some understanding. So some persons, for example, some persons think the mind and the thoughts within the mind and philosophy, there's reality. But it's not what reality is. Then the soul distinct, and then the supreme soul. So there's limited and there's transcendental understanding. The Bhagavatam has both. And then comes, understanding life. What's life? Then you go through the same sequence. Not so long ago, I was in China. That way, neighbors? Okay. I was asked in a city, I don't even know how to pronounce the name of the place. Starts with a C, that much I know. So, 16 syllables long. The topic they asked me to speak, the organizer of the Sangha asked me to speak on scientific proof of the existence of God in the soul. And I started by saying there isn't any. Science can't prove that. You can use inductive logic and say there isn't any other explanation. And then somebody might come up with another explanation. So it's not conclusive. Science can't prove it. By direct sense perception and by inference and logic, you can't prove it. You can't prove the soul exists. You can infer that it exists. I'll give a little example. This is not from Bhagavatam, but it's, sense perception can infer what the Bhagavatam teaches us, but it doesn't prove what the Bhagavatam teaches us. One of the topics we talked about at this place in mainland China was out-of-body experience, OBE. You've probably all heard about that one. Without all that, it's a long story, but the really short version is a cardiologist had an experience where during an open heart surgery, the two signals that they show that the person on the operating table died is the heartbeat stopped and the nervous system went flat. Dead. So they, medical practitioners, have a procedure when those two things happen. They put electrodes on the chest of the person, and then it gives a signal to the heart as if it's working. It's like jump start. I mean, I don't know if you can do that these days because I don't have standard transmission, because everything's all now automatic. More than automatic. So, but jump start the heart again. And then sometime they're dead. So in one case, Dr. Sabam wrote a book about it. A patient survey. Of the patient, and how you doing, how you feeling, and the patient narrated
his out-of-body experience. And it goes something like this. He described to the doctor everything that happened during cardiac arrest. The nurse saw, the nurse said to the assistant said to the doctor said what to do. He recited everything, auditory, visual. He saw the whole thing from up above the operating table. He was looking down at the operating table and described what he saw. And he had memory during cardiac arrest. During cardiac arrest means blood doesn't go to the brain, because normally mental function is resting upon mental function. Oh, this is too much. Yeah, better. Okay. Let's see. The senses send, so these things on the side of our head, that's one kind of hearing. This is like understanding again. There's, and then the sound vibration moves the eardrum sends a signal to the brain registers, there's a sound. Like, I can hear the fan. There's a fan over here. I can touch it, but, I can hear it. So there's a fan running. So, besides these, and that the nervous system, when it's shut down, there's another system of hearing, which he heard, because the body was shut down. The nervous system was shut down, but he could still hear. Precise memory, like a tape recorder. So he described what they did, and the whole thing. And then when the meter showed the heart started again, his out-of-body experience was over, because he was back in the body again. So I narrated this in this Sangha in China, and it's not like they haven't heard what out-of-body experience. There's several other examples without all the examples. Consciousness is different than electrochemical activities of the brain. At least what Dr. Sabam wrote in his book is, I may be chastised in my medical career for writing this, because you're not supposed to say stuff like this. But I can't see any other plausible reason or explanation, than there's the seat of consciousness is something other than the body and the systems of the body. And what that is, that's an understanding that might be something else. So one could say, maybe in 20 years they'll come up with another explanation that says it wasn't this, it was that. So it's inconclusive. Sense perception, inference, logic. So what's left? It's shabda, sound. And then there's the whole big topic of sound, the power of sound. So it's a nice topic. But the Bhagavatam is way ahead of the curve. It discusses. Here's a nice little example. A nice little example is Dronacharya, the military guru of the Kauravas. Then it was Kauravas and Pandavas, those in the royal family. He was training everybody. And two of the persons he specifically in Mahabharata is indicated, he taught his own son Ashvatthama how to release the Brahmastra. And he taught Arjuna how to release Brahmastra. But Arjuna's qualification was he was very submissive and respectful and so forth to Dronacharya as his guru. And Ashvatthama, he was his dad. He didn't have the same. He learned how to release the Brahmastra, but he didn't know how to withdraw it. Problema. And how is the Brahmastra released? Who knows? Sound. Mantra. Invincible through sound. Because that's what gurus knew and taught is sound. And sound can do many things, including, destroy things. Sound can do many things. The whole of the Vedic system is based on sound. And that's the Bhagavatam. But in the case of the Bhagavatam, it's the topmost. It's paradharma. It's not just nishkam karma yoga, which is rare. Most persons, it's all over the place. It's big karma, maybe mixed with a little piety, maybe. So karma, big karma, nishkam karma, bhakti. So all of it is in the Bhagavatam, but then here's the goal. And then there's abundant discussion of the intermediate stages in people. The consequence for someone who's in intermediate stage and they do some boo-boo. And there's consequence. And sometimes it's severe, sometimes it's short term, sometimes it's long term. Here's one. Markandeya Rishi. Let's see if anybody's nodding. Yes, I know who Markandeya Rishi is. You have some idea. Good. He lived a long time, didn't he? And you know how he did? Sound. There's a nice discussion about that in the Bhagavatam, and with reference from other Padma Purana specifically. His father had a horoscope done for his son when he was born, and one of the things his father found out is this boy is going to die very young, 6.5 years old or something like that, and he's finished. So his father, being a Brahmana, advised him, whenever you see a superior, fall at their feet and offer obeisances. Because common in Vedic culture is when someone shows respect to a senior person, an elder at least, then they'll say something. May you live a long life. You know that? Yeah. So he did it till he was 6.5, and then it was time for him to die. There's different versions, but he couldn't be killed because he had gotten the blessings of so many elders. Some of them were sages, and some were just elderly. But that accumulation, so through sound, may you live a long life. There are different ways at how it ends up. One description is he came before Lord Brahma, like the Supreme Court, and the little boy, 6.5-year-old boy, fell at Lord Brahma's feet and paid obeisances and looked up at him. May you live a long life. That was it. That was it. So, he lives a long life. He's still living. Just by sound. Now he'll die because everything that's born dies, but sound is very powerful. And Srimad Bhagavatam is the topmost of all those sound vibrations. And that's life. So there's life that's in ignorance, and life that's in passion, and life that's in goodness, and life that's nothing but life. Or where that which is limited and temporary, coming from the Supreme, is offered to the Supreme because of the proper consciousness. And what's the proper consciousness? Understanding who is Bhagavan. You're a learned audience. For many of you are not new. On this quiz question. Let's see, raise your hand, don't just blurt it out. Yeah, the question is, there's a terminology in Sanskrit for a verse that comes towards the beginning of a text, and by understanding this particular verse in relation to the whole text, it's essential to enter into the meaning of the rest of the text. It summarizes and it expresses the essence of the entire text. And proper Sanskrit composition has one for each major text. What's the time? Say it slow. Yeah, you know how to say slowly, right? So try. Paribhasha Sutra. Paribhasha Sutra. Ete Changsa Kala Pungsa Krishnastu Bhagavan Swayam. There it is. Krishna is the original of all the avatars, because it's in the section of describing the avatars of Vishnu. Krishna is the source of the avatars of Vishnu. He's the source of everything. And if you know what's the source of everything, well, most people don't even know what the purpose of life is. That's another topic. What's life? Understanding life through the agency of Srimad Bhagavatam. What's the purpose of life? I touched on that topic with my sister 2 days ago. She lives in California, up in the mountains up there. What's the purpose? And you know, if we don't know the purpose, what happens? I mean, that's understanding how to live one's life, supposing you don't know the purpose. You live a life of complexity that doesn't lead to anything other than more complexity. And try to be happy. You know, the whole program. It's there in Bhagavad Gita, but Srimad Bhagavatam is far more explicit, with details and lives of people that had some idea but didn't have a full idea, and so they made some mess ups or some offense, and then because of that offense, there were consequences. So the Bhagavatam is one of the ways of describing. It's revealing the absolute truth in full, and how to make that connection with the absolute truth such that Punarjanma na, there's no more birth in this material world. Because Krishna says that in Bhagavad Gita, and in one sense, what's in Bhagavad Gita is sufficient. However, to understand that which is sufficient more elaborately, with greater clarity and firmness, the Srimad Bhagavatam's there. It doesn't say something contradictory to what Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita. but it makes it far more clear and detailed. So how to understanding how to live life through the medium of Srimad Bhagavatam. I'm sure, I'm very confident, there are devotees in this audience that before having Srimad Bhagavatam didn't really know it was in Srimad Bhagavatam, and may not even have had a taste for reading Srimad Bhagavatam on a regular basis. And then in the audience, there's probably some persons, I met one of them yesterday, who didn't have a liking for Srimad Bhagavatam, but they started in a systematic way of reading Srimad Bhagavatam, and they're describing exactly what the Bhagavatam says will happen. That is, the detachment from the temporary and attachment for reading Srimad Bhagavatam. And reading Srimad Bhagavatam means clarity on who is Krishna. Now, in Bhagavad Gita, the Paribhasa Sutra in Bhagavad Gita comes later, not towards the beginning, because the rule is in the beginning, towards the beginning. So, Ham Sarvasya Prabhavo Matak Sarvam Pravartate Iti Matva Bhajante Mam Bhutabhava Samandita. That important verse is Krishna declaring that he is the source. Sarvasya Prabhava. Prabhava. He's the emanating source of Sarvasya, everything, matter, spirit. Everything. And then the further detail is in the Bhagavatam. It's in a similar Paribhasa Sutra is explaining the same. And then details in different parts of the Bhagavatam of various avatars of the Lord. Some expanding more on this Leela, that Leela, and how they appeared and so forth. Sometimes just mentioning the name, but mentioning the name has its own power. Spiritual potency, power. And that's the nature. So one who becomes accustomed by association primarily to hearing and reading Srimad Bhagavatam on a regular basis. The two things, the affinity for matter subsides and the attraction for transcendence grows. And that was my discussion with my sister 2 days ago. What's next? And how to get there. It's exactly the conversation between Ramananda Roy and Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. What's the goal of life and the means to achieve it? Sadhya and sadhana. The goal of life and the means to achieve it. And the verse that Chaitanya Mahaprabhu accepted is from Bhagavatam. Stay in your position, whatever that may be. Of course, leaving aside forbidden vic karma, but it's not you have to change everything and have a new address or something. Or be wealthy or be learned or something. You don't need a material asset, just whatever you're carrying with you. Stay in that position and live virtuously and hear the topics of transcendence from the right source. And the goal of life and the means to achieve it are within that system. And one could say, I'll end, because this is a nice topic. I'm guessing, looking around the audience, there's going to be discussion. So I found speaking less and more discussion is better. I can say something more if there's not much question, but this is probably a good audience for questions. The opportunity for persons to hear, whether it's the holy name or receive prasadam. I'm going to tell the Prabhupada story. I know, yeah. I told the Prabhupada story in the car ride over here. So, because of Prabhupada's health condition, a doctor told him with his fourth heart attack, Swamiji, if you don't exercise regularly, you're not going to survive another heart attack. What exercise? Walk at least an hour a day. Religiously, I mean, rain, snow, sleet, or hail, he's walking for at least an hour and sometimes more. So the question was, when Prabhupada was visiting in New York, where did he go? New York's not a sweet place. So he liked to go to parks. I didn't tell this one, but when someone said, I heard about Central Park, and the devotee said, oh, it's very dangerous. You go very early in the morning, and there's criminals and crawling around, and it's not a good place to go. Let's go. Because you got all these sannyasis and people with sticks, and you're like, fearless. So one day, the decision was Brooklyn Battery Park. Doesn't sound lovely, does it? It's not lovely either. But, it's trees and fresh air. It's a little different than the rest of Brooklyn. Brooklyn Battery Park. So there must have been 15, maybe 20 persons on this morning walk. Lots of dandas walking with this Swamiji over there. So there's a paved area. So Prabhupada nicely followed the paved area, winding around. It wasn't like a straight sidewalk. It was meandering through the trees and stuff. And his body language was, he tilted his head and he saw back when he saw something. There was a pond. So he saw the pond, went right off the sidewalk area, straight for the pond. So there's, 15, 20 people hovered around the pond. And when you do that, what's going to happen? The ducks came. Quack, quack, quack. Because they understood it's time to get something. So Prabhupada turned to the devotees and asked, does anybody have prasadam? One devotee had some chapati or something in his shoulder bag, so he pulled them out, and Prabhupada said, feed the ducks. The ducks went wild. Little pieces, and threw the pieces, and they caught the pieces, or sometimes they missed and so floated, and then he was finished with the chapatis. So he turned, walked away from the pond, and went back to the sidewalk, and Prabhupada stopped when he reached the sidewalk, firmly put his cane in the sidewalk, and said, what lesson did we learn today? And everybody looked at everybody, and Prabhupada said, the duck that quacks the loudest gets the bread. And then he continued with the rest of the walk. So there are ways to learn. If one is seeing Krishna everywhere, there are ways to see, that's anamoya, even in a duck. Quack, quack. Because that's their realization of survival, or the supreme. Because there's other things that they do besides that one, but that's an essential one. So through the medium of a spiritual master, one can receive everything. Because just like in sound vibration, in the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra, the entire Srimad Bhagavatam is there. It's can be fully realized. It can be fully realized. The whole of Srimad Bhagavatam can be fully realized by one who has come to the stage of chanting without offense. That means, with complete absorption, because it philosophically makes sense. The name of Krishna is not different than Krishna, and within Krishna is everything. Is there something that's not within the source of everything? Everything comes from the source of everything. So within Krishna's name is everything. Form, quality, pastimes, entourage, lila. So everything is there. And then the Bhagavatam is also, one of those 5 most important activities, reading Srimad Bhagavatam. And live one's life, it's very simple. Live one's life by these very essential practices that Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and his associates came to give, and one can understand how to live one's life in transcendence. Where, one of the things that Prabhupada said about feeding the ducks, mentioned. Their spiritual life has now begun. Now, what does that mean? What it means is, according to Bhaktivinoda Thakur, each of us became a devotee when, at some point in time, we were not living. At least someone may have been born into a devotee family, and they're the most fortunate persons. But others, the accumulation of piety, some transcendental piety, association with bhakti, just like my sister. She's my sister, but she's not a devotee. What's this word bhakti anyways? It wasn't challenging, but how do you spell it? No, so it's okay. What's next for any of us in her? It depends. So accumulation of association of agyata sukriti, Bhaktivinoda Thakur calls it. And it's not material sukriti. It's association with devotees, association with bhakti. A little drop of bhakti, a little drop of bhakti, a little drop of bhakti, and you got some bhakti in your bhakti vessel, your heart. And then when there's association with devotees, you say yes instead of no. And then continue to Sangha, which includes reading Srimad Bhagavatam in the association of devotees and discussing the topics. And then becoming accustomed to, just like brushing your teeth, something you do every day. You don't not brush your teeth. You don't not associate with the Srimad Bhagavatam. And you associate with Srimad Bhagavatam every day. It's cumulative. More attentive, better. But even, not fully attentive. It's slower, but it's transcendently beneficial. And that's the response to the topic I was asked to talk about. So help people begin. Give them some prasadam. Ducks. Birds. There's this nice example. I'll end with this. There's a nice example of on Govardhan Hill. Following Lord Chaitanya, we don't step on Govardhan Hill because Govardhan is not different than Krishna. We don't step on Krishna. So a Brijvasi was crawling on his hands and knees on the side of Govardhan Hill. And there was a group of devotees, and they stopped to see, what's he doing? And he had some rice flour with sugar. It was feeding the ants. Prasadam, offered to Krishna. I mean, somebody spoke Hindi, and they asked him what he was doing, and he stopped long enough to say, "I'm feeding the ants." Their spiritual life has begun. They're residents of Vrindavan. But so if we can respect even an ant, we can respect everyone by this very simple procedure, giving them dan, giving them the charity of Mahaprasadam or Prasadam, and then the dan of transcendental knowledge. Receive it and give it. That's our life. That what you have received, you're now in a position to give to others out of respect to those from whom you received it. Mindful of the respectful mindfulness of those from whom you received, and you give to others. So here we are. Somehow we're recipients of good fortune, although not so qualified, to say the least. I could go on, but I am going to end. Any discussion? We have a portable microphone back there. Okay, over here.
Hare Krishna Maharaj. I have a question regarding the out of body experience. So I heard like the many yogis and Siddha Purushas they had this experience. But
They had which experience?
the out of body experience.
Okay.
But I didn't came across any scriptures or any something which is specified. So is there any out of body experience specified in any of the scriptures or somewhere in the Vedic literature?
Well, you started with that as the preamble to your question. You hear in Scripture it says, then you're asking, is there something in Scripture that says? No, they don't call it out-of-body experience. They call it something else, astral travel, and they call it something else. Okay? Yeah. Over here.
Maybe I can be loud.
No, then there's people online, and yeah.
Hare Krishna. Prabhuji, so I don't know the exact count, but there are 33 or 3.3 million demigods.
33 million, yeah, that's a lot.
Yeah. And Lord Shiva is, I don't know if he can be called a demigod, but I always have this doubt that
He can be called demigod, yes.
Okay. So he is if Krishna is milk, he is like curd. So they, something like that. But
Yeah, that's right. It's Brahma Samhita.
But what are his qualities? How is he different from us and Krishna?
Oh, he's in his own tattva. Vishnu tattva, Jiva tattva, Shiva tattva. So he has characteristics like Krishna, but not Krishna. Because he's in his own tattva. Like the example you gave, right from Brahma Samhita. And then how he's like us, well, he's like us and not like us. He has a form, but his form has, three eyes, and, he has some features that we don't have. And he has powers that we don't have. So sometimes in the Bhagavatam, he is addressed as Bhagavan Shiva, but he's not the source. He's not he from whom everything comes. Now many things come from Lord Shiva, but not everything. So we don't have that capacity that he has. He is super powerful. We're not.
Is he the only one like
In that
Shiva
category,
Tattva? Yes.
he's the only one. He has expansions of that one. The Rudras are expansions. There's expansions, but so he can expand. But it's one entity, one tattva.
And he's not restricted to this universe.
He's what?
He's not restricted to this universe, right? He is in.
Well, he's all over the place. He's all in different universes because there are many universes. It's a function. I mean, this is kind of off topic, but I don't mind off topic.
So where does he physically reside?
Oh, he resides all over the place. So Kailash is one of the places, but there are many places. If you'd like, I can do some research and give you a list of all the places where it's said in the Bhagavatam that he resides. Kailash is commonly known, but there's many other places that he resides. When there's anger, he resides there. Right? Yes?
All right. Hare Krishna.
Okay.
Hare Krishna Prabhu.
I go.
First of all, we feel grateful to be in your presence and for gracing us.
Glad that you could
your
come.
association. Thank you. You gave an example of the ducks starting their spiritual practice. So, when human beings, when they start spiritual practice, oftentimes, and I myself included, when we think of Krishna, Bhagavad Gita comes across as the first text that
Yeah.
we come into association with.
Yes.
And it's also popularized by the Mahabharata.
Yes.
But then later on, as we learned, that there is also this great text, possibly even greater, in form of Srimad Bhagavatam. But I also wonder, why is it that Bhagavad Gita has this kind of a more popularity?
It's easy.
And you also have so many different versions of Bhagavad Gita,
That's easy too.
but you don't have only one Srimad Bhagavatam.
Oh no, there's lots of Srimad.
Okay.
There are people that read Srimad Bhagavatam and it's gobbledygook. Gobbledygook. There's, sometimes they even change the Sanskrit, but often they just take the Sanskrit and this means that, and then they give their commentary that's that instead of this. Same with Bhagavad Gita. So it's not like they can't or they don't or they haven't. They mess around with Bhagavatam. It's a little more difficult.
Is it because Bhagavad Gita is shorter?
No, it's just it's terse, and it's undergraduate understanding, and so undergraduate understanding can be twisted.
So, in terms of
My
spiritual
scholarship
practice-
largely, huh?
in terms of spiritual practice, how is best to approach these texts?
Oh,
And-
you know the answer. As it is. And what does that mean? No interpretation, no malinterpretation. Krishna said, you've heard Prabhupada's lectures, so you know the answer. This scholar, that scholar. Gandhi, the Pandavas means, and the Kurukshetra battlefield means, and it's nothing literal. It's all, this means that. Interpretation because of their own ideology. So Bhagavad Gita is a go-to place because there's respect for it. And my philosophy superimposed on Bhagavad Gita is what Bhagavad Gita is. It's Bhagavad Gita as it isn't. And there's a lot of it. It's not like pointing fingers. It's like there's a lot of it. You know, we probably, all of us have, here's a little personal story. Once upon a time, I didn't know anything about anything. And my philosophy professor in my undergraduate study, he was a nice man without all the details. He used to read, one of the things he did was he would read his poetry. Another thing, he taught me how to make pottery in the pottery room. And you know, if he was a Taoist, so he explained how he does this, not for making pots, but for centering his energy. Taking a glob of clay and then making a pot. But first you have to center the glob of clay. So anyway, he was a philosopher. So one day he gave me a Bhagavad Gita. I didn't know what it was, but I liked him, so I was carrying it around with me, along with my stack of books. And then somebody else I know, a grad student, said, "Hey, I have one of those, but it's different. Here, take mine too." So now I've got two Bhagavad Gitas. And I thought, if there's two, there's probably more. So I went to the library, and I found 5 more Bhagavad Gitas in the library. I checked out all 5, plus the 2 I had, read them all, and came to the following conclusion: I don't understand it. Time passed. Bhagavad Gita number 8. Bhagavad Gita as it is. And it was really easy to understand, so I was scratching my head. Why is this one so easy and the other ones I couldn't understand at all? But I liked it, so I kept reading it, then I could understand it from reading it. Because it's disciplic succession without adulteration. That's how Bhagavad Gita. The sun is found not by holding a flashlight in the air and looking for the sun. That's not how you find the sun. Scholarship is the flashlight. They're going to, Bhagavad Gita and saying, here's what it is. It's not what it is. It's descending, but they don't follow that. So they don't know. But it's respected, so they make their rendering. So we're fortunate, along with everything else. We came in touch with devotees who gave us a Bhagavad Gita, and we said thank you, and then started reading it, and etc. etc. And life changes. That's exactly what the topic is: how to live one's life following Bhagavad Gita or Srimad Bhagavatam. Okay. There was a couple of hands. Someone else? Yes, towards the front.
Hare Krishna. Thank you for this session. So my question is
Slowly and clearly, please.
on the purpose of life,
Yeah.
whether it's Bhagavatam or Bhakti or chanting holy name, how do you know it's correct or source of truth?
What is the aim of life? That's what you're asking?
On the purpose of life,
What's the purpose of life?
yeah, if it is Bhakti or following of scriptures,
The purpose of life is to remember that which we have forgotten. In simple language.
but how do you know what we forgotten?
Well, from authority. You don't, not from the senses and not from reasoning and logic, but through Shabda, the
Then
hearing.
how do you know that Shraddha is correct or
That's a
not?
good question. It's a long, important question. You have a few hours?
I mean, I could spare it, but
I've been one of the texts that I've been teaching and studying is Madhurya Kandambani. And he Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, you've heard his name? No?
Not really.
One of the predecessor acharyas explains that according to the teachings of Rupa Goswami, there's 9 stages of bhakti, and the first one is Shraddha. So he gives a very powerful, clear definition of Shraddha. Shraddha means an intuition of something that has not yet happened, but will happen. It's intuition, a faith in something that has not yet happened, but will happen. And how do I know? That's by faith. No, faith can be reposed on gobbledygook, a non-Bhagavad Gita rendering. Faith can be reposed there. Anyway, my sister was a little confused because she's heard this and that, but not bhakti from the right source. So how do you know this is what your question is? How does faith become confirmed? It's easy to get misdirection. So why are we here? I'm going to share something with you.
Yes.
I'm preparing now for a japa retreat that's going to happen over the 4th of July weekend. And this question that you're asking is the starting point of the japa retreat. Why are we here? Why have we come to a japa retreat? Why are we chanting? Why? What? The why question. Kena Upanishad. Why? You've heard that book? Kena Upanishad. So it's Upanishad on the question why. Yeah, you've heard it. You've heard of it. Well, it's asking the why question is important. Not just check the box and take somebody's word for it, but something that's more profound or more deep or more sustaining, which is what seems to be what you're asking. Because there's so many options. There's so many Bhagavad Gitas. There's so many espousers of truth that's not truth. Will the real truth please stand up? And everyone stands up. And which one? Well, where do you repose your faith? So, you're not explicitly asking that, but I'm addressing that question because it's a basic question. Anyone's qualification, according to Bhaktivinoda Thakur, is prior contact with bhakti enables one to have faith in bhakti. Supposing one hasn't had prior bhakti exposure, then I'm going to have faith in something else, something else, something else, something else's. And somebody's really strong about that something else, and I go, yeah. Until it's a no. I'll give a little example about faith. You ready?
Yeah.
Once upon a time, I was a college kid. Seems like a few lifetimes ago. And I got to the stage of having faith in mantra. Faith in mantra. There were several things that happened before that, including Buddhism and other Christianity and other things that happened before that. But it got to mantra. And there was a fellow, a Harvard professor, who was doing the college circuit chanting Hare Krishna. And he's a good speaker, a charismatic guy. And I liked it. At least I thought I liked it. Until he said something I couldn't understand. He said, become one with his eyes closed, become one with the chant. I thought, wow, what does that mean? Reasonable question. But I kept going to his classes, and then he disclosed what it means. He said in the beginning, there's you and the chant, but you become very involved in the chant, and it's just the chant. I said, forget this guy. Intuitively, I become Krishna. See you later. That was it. No more. Intuitively. But based on reason and common sense, I become God. Forget it. Or I'm already God. I just forgot it. Sorry, Charlie. So where's that intuition come from? The faith come from? Having prior contact with that which is genuine. And what's that which is genuine? Bhakti is the genuine seed. Bhakti lata bija. You know the phrase? The phrase. Here's the phrase. It's Rupa. This is Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. You know Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Brahmanda Brahmite Konda Bhagyavan Jeev Guru Krishna Prasadi Bhai Bhakti Lata Bija. By the combined mercy of Guru and Krishna, one becomes fortunate. Bhagyavan Jeev. What's that Bhagyavan? What's that good fortune? You get the seed of Bhakti. Bhakti Lata, the creeper, Lata, Bhakti Lata Bija. Wow. That's better than anything. Now, supposing I don't think it's better than anything, I'm going to go to the anything. And there's lots of anythings out there. So what is it that helps with faith is prior contact with something that's genuine and brings you to the stage of, it has the potency to bring one to the stage of ending the cycle of birth and death and being completely connected with that which is the source of everything, Bhagavan. That's the Bhagavatam. By prior contact. And then in this lifetime, contact with someone that's carrying bhakti. And that reawakens the bhakti that's already within, at least in the agyata stage, at the unknowing stage. I'm going to take one more question and we're going to abruptly end because the sun is setting. We have to serve prasadam and all that.
Thank you.
Is there enough prasadam for everybody? Look at how many people are here. Who's the host? He's outside in the kitchen, probably. You have the last question. No, the microphone so people remote can hear.
Hare Krishna Prabhu. I have a question on Advait Vedanta.
Okay, help me. I'm a senior citizen and I'm hard to hearing. So
Sure.
speak clearly and slowly. Be kind to me.
Right.
Thank you.
So I have a question on Advait Vedanta.
Advaita.
Yes.
Really?
I want to know, can we achieve non-duality through the path of bhakti?
Oh yeah.
Because in bhakti, we often start with the devotee and the divine. But as we progress into it, the ego dissolves. But how do you make progress, and how do you know that you are dissolving your ego and you are reaching towards non-duality?
Okay. You this is a seminar. It's not just a question. The line of Vaishnavas, where they accept Vishnu is the supreme, and we're subordinate to the Vishnu who is supreme. He is the master, we're the servant of the supreme. Now that teaching is Vaishnava teachings, and of the various Vaishnava teachings, several of them have the term Advaita, non-dual, because the jiva is qualitatively, not quantitatively, qualitatively one with the source. So, Vishishta Advaita, the Sri Vaishnavas, you're familiar. Yes? South India. Sri, worshippers of the goddess, Sri, Lakshmi Narayan. So their teaching, Ramanujacharya's teaching, is Vishishta Advaita, so the absolute that has attributes, Vishishtas. So in your question, it sounded like from your question, there's only one kind of Advaita, Kevala Advaita, absolute monism. Sorry, there are different understandings of what that Advaita is, and one of them, for example, it's an easy one to understand, is Vishishta Advaita. That which is non-dual has attributes. And they have a list of the attributes of Bhagavan. But they're not material. They're the same non-dual substance as the source. The source has attributes, possesses attributes, and manifests attributes. In this world, there's reflections of those attributes. They're temporary and limited. So that's a response. It's a big seminar. So Vaishnava, in summary, Vaishnava teachings certainly address the non-dual feature of the absolute, Brahman, and their attributes in that Brahman, or variegatedness on the spiritual plane, completely beyond the cloud of material energy and the place of duality. This place, completely. This place, this duality place, is resting upon the absolute. There's no substance to this place without the absolute, the non-dual absolute. It's the resting place of the temporary.
Where the attributes.
Where are they situated?
No, where the attributes established to develop an easier connection with the absolute, so that we can relate more with the absolute on a day-to-day basis. Was that the reason?
Do you understand this question? You can repeat.
Sure. So you mentioned about attributes.
Yes.
Right. So my question is, where the attributes established so that we can relate easily with the absolute?
Oh, it's by sound. And the Vedas is sound. Through sound. Within the Vedas, it's there. That the attributes are there within sound. Sound has quality. Sound isn't formless. Sound has form, and has attributes within that sound. And then sometimes, this is going a little bit further, sometimes that sound manifestation has a prakat feature where forms of the absolute manifest and show form and pastimes and entourage and activities and loving exchanges, etc. And then is he, gender specific, he, the Shaktiman, withdraws his Shaktis and exists eternally in the spiritual realm, where we don't have the capacity to see or experience, but it's going on eternally. It's not. So this is a big topic, and you're asking a big question, and you're a thoughtful person, and gosh, I don't feel I can do justice to your thoughtfulness in a short time. If you like philosophy, I can point you to some places in the Bhagavatam, even more specifically in Chaitanya Charitamrita, where this topic is discussed. I'll suggest one. You like to read?
Yes.
Oh, yeah. Okay. One place, you show him the Tien. There's in Chaitanya Charitamrita, there's Prakashananda Saraswati, who is a leader of those who are Dvaita Vedantists in Benares. Thousands. And he was the leader of thousands. And he had a meeting with Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, who was a Vaishnava. And they had some exchange. So that exchange with the commentary of what went on in that discussion that points it back and forth is a really nice place to learn the topic that you're asking. And it's subtle. And you probably, find some things that you read that's like, wait a minute, I don't know if I agree with that, and those kind of. But then, associate with Srivas and others that have experience, and they can help you sort through it. At least, something to some degree. So at least, the lay of the land is more than the 5-minute discussion we're doing right now. So from a little more detail, much more detail. And then from that, there's other sections of the Bhagavatam and Chaitanya Charitamrita that can yield this understanding better, or render this understanding more clearly. What the voices that say this and the voices that say that. Here's another one. There's who is Prabhupada? He had a spiritual master. His name is Bhakti Siddhanta. And he was brilliant. And he wrote a book that's kind of skinny, and it's the Four Sampradayas. That's the title of the book. And in those four Sampradaya teachings, you'll hear the Vedanta, the Advaita feature in each of them, along with the personal aspect, the transcendental personal aspect, and how this sampradaya looks and that sampradaya looks. And he also discusses Shankaracharya and what his teachings are and how they compare. It's very terse, very sharp. Yeah, it's good to have a dictionary with you when you read his writings, because even his English language, I need a dictionary. It's not his main language. He's very precise with his language. So I have a lot of admiration for him in many ways. So those are two sources, go-to sources for you. I think we should end and serve prasadam, or something else we want to do before that. We'll do that. So thank you all for coming. Gosh, I hope to have enough prasadam for all of you. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Oh, I brought some Mahaprasadam from Chicago. This is Burfi.